Hey folks, everybody, welcome to the Clubroom. My name is Mark Moyer, and I'm super excited to have Chukky Okobi in the room today. Chukky spent several seasons in the NFL, but more importantly, is now going to teach you all the basic instructions of life after the NFL. If there's anybody that really knows how to present, it's Chukky, and his advice and his guidance is absolutely fantastic. You're going to love this presentation. I'm going to bring in Chukky now, and then I'm going to exit out, and everyone enjoy it.
All right. All right. I feel grateful that we're here today. Thank you for coming. My name is Chukky Okobi. I'm an 8-year NFL alumni and a Super Bowl champion. And the reason we're here today is to talk about the basic instructions of life after the NFL. The thing I realized after several years of working on getting my anger under control with little progress, I realized one of the biggest obstacles was when talking to medical and mental health professionals, I recognized that they have no point of reference for my experience as an NFL player. Yeah, they have medical degrees and expertise, but they have no idea what I've been through. I felt like there was no one out there who understood where I was coming from, my NFL experience. So I decided to become that person. That way, other NFL vets who felt like I did back then, they knew that there was at least one person right here who they could talk to, another NFL vet who's been through it. After struggling with mental health after football for almost a decade, I decided to take my mental and emotional health into my own hands. I was determined to learn about how the human mind works. After wrestling with my emotions for what felt like forever, outbursts of anger, feeling like I was out of control, I just got tired of that feeling. That whatever I've been doing so far, it's simply not working. If I continue to approach my problems this way, I can expect the same results in the future. It's time for a change. Since football, I've taken an educational path that I believe would give me the knowledge and wisdom that will make me an expert, at least in my own emotional health. I'm a master practitioner of NLP. We'll go deeper into what NLP is in just a moment. I'm a mental and emotional release specialist and a hypnotherapist. Today, through my coaching and consulting company, Basic Instructions Mind Mastery, I'm a keynote and motivational speaker, a mental health coach, and an emotional expert. I coach business professionals, entrepreneurs, as well as specializing in coaching NFL veterans on developing mental and emotional intelligence and discipline through their transition into life after football. In addition to basic instructions, I'm also head of the sports programs of nonprofit organization Same Here Global. Our mission as a charity is to normalize the common misinterpretations of mental health and bring it into everyday conversation. I'm grateful because I've participated in developing programs for the NBA, NHL, as well as the PGA. So that's who I am today as we go deeper. Now, this moment in life right now is all about learning new things, a new, better way of doing things. I mean, just think of memories that you've learned. We all have memories of learning new things. We can remember, think back now, recalling when your mind was wide open. Remember that feeling? The feeling of excitement when you know you're about to learn something new. Learning the necessary steps to manifest the precise changes he wants in his life right now. It's just like other memories of things we've learned, and maybe you can even remember your very earliest memory of learning when you learned what it was like to learn. Maybe you were with a group of other people or with somebody older and more experienced. In this moment, you learned what it was like to learn. Everything sounds true and it feels real. In a lot of ways, the basic instructions is like this voice, a voice of experience and support. So when you think about what it is you're going to learn today and you listen, you can hear this voice right now. And if you listen, I mean, really listen, you can hear this voice right now speaking to you right from the deepest part of who you are. This is your voice of experience and support. I have a voice like that, and you have this voice too. And even in the quiet moments of your thoughts, you can always hear this voice guiding you, pushing you, moving you ever closer to what you truly desire deep down: health, wealth, happiness, your specific desired future. Understand that success is simple, and learning today about the basic instructions of your own mind, you now realize learning something new and looking at my life differently is the way to create the positive future you see in your mind. It's a time to take a look at my life through sports in a different way. And what you'll notice is that when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at start to change. So just take a deep breath, relax, get comfortable as we begin to go even deeper. Thinking back on my journey in sports, it all began back when I was about 6, 7 years old. Now, I'm originally from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I imagine a lot of us can relate. For me, When I think about it, growing up in a single parent household, just my mom and my 4 siblings, I'm sure you can imagine her main focus wasn't on my extracurricular activities. I think she had more important things on her mind. Sports is just something, when I think about it, something I truly loved to do back when I was a kid. Remembering life before, when my parents were still together, I lived in a house in which there was an intense sense of sadness and fear. It's a lot of domestic violence, no need to get specific. But to get away from my dad, we moved out of Pittsburgh, and I moved around a lot as a kid, 6 schools before high school. So you can imagine what it's like not having a father at home and being the new kid all the time. I was feeling as if I was not part of the group at home, and now it's like I don't belong anywhere in the world. So for me, sports, you can imagine back when I was in that locker room, this was a place for me that I felt good about myself. I'm sure you'd agree the locker room felt like I had a happy family, like a valued member of the tribe. And I think growing up in a house without a father figure, it's natural for us to look at the men in our lives as examples of how we should be. When I think about it, throughout my early years playing sports, what I did unconsciously is find my male role models. I collected father figures. You know what I mean? Thinking about the men that I looked up to and from whom I learned what I believed it meant to be successful. The intense love I feel right now for sports and my deep desire to develop into the very best I can be, I'm sure you can easily see how I could be naturally attracted to men like this. You can relate to my perspective, right? In the context of this team right here, I saw my coach as the leader of the pack, the chief of the tribe, and our loving protector. Someone with more experience. A man who, at the deepest level, I know he has my back 100%. So I'm watching him now like a hawk. I'm focused in, listening very closely as I hang on to every word, realizing and thinking to myself, that's how I want to be when I grow up. Looking back, when I think about it, let me ask you this. You remember ever meeting someone new for the first time and it's really interesting? You automatically just feel relaxed, super comfortable. The voice in your head is saying, this is really funny. All I know is this just feels right. I really like this dude. I'm feeling his vibe. I can dig it. There's definitely something different and special about him. You see them right now. You can already envision how you can benefit from his positive influence, imagining now how working with this coach just might be the key to my future. Because this is exactly what I experienced now, the first time I met my new coach, Joe Tiller. College football, it's a different game nowadays than when we played. It felt more pure and genuine, playing for the love of the game, not focused on the business side of it. I know for me over the years, the relationships from back then, thinking about it, those were some of the deepest relationships I still have to this day. And I'm not just thinking about my teammates. Actually, my favorite coaches are what's coming to mind right now. Now, Coach Tiller came to Purdue as the new head football coach in 1997 from Wyoming. And Wyoming's team are called the Cowboys. A real cowboy is exactly the energy I get from this guy. Easy speaking gentleman. He was bald. His cowboy boots were really impressive. And I just remember the belt buckle he had on it because it cracked me up thinking about it now. It was massive, like he was the heavyweight champion of the world. And as you can imagine, of course, he had that cowboy charm and disposition to match. Now, I was a freshman in 97, 18 years old, just finished my first year of college football. I redshirted, didn't see any action in 96. And this new coach, Coach Tiller, coming to Purdue as my new coach, this right now is a huge life-changing moment. You see, our last coach, Coach Jim Coletto, who would eventually go on to coach in the NFL for several years. Back then, he was the only coach to give me this life-changing opportunity that I took full advantage of. The only coach that believed in my vision and offered me this opportunity to play big-time football. Purdue was my only scholarship offer. And then after my first season in 96, Coach Coletto resigned. He's gone, so I was freaking out. I'm sure you've experienced loss in your past, so you can relate. I just remember the emotions I was feeling in this moment. It felt like my dad was leaving all over again. Thinking about it, it's just a really painful time in life. With Coach leaving me, I'm thinking to myself, what am I going to do? I feel so nervous, scared even, and this intense insecurity about my future. For my Star Wars fans, picture it like this. Coach Coletto was supposed to be my Obi-Wan Kenobi, the guy who was going to show me how to become an NFL Jedi. Life without Coach right now, for me, this moment is a real crisis, feeling this deep fear with the unexpected changes that were happening in my world right now. Back then, I just recall that vision I had for my future. It felt like it was slipping away. But there's no avoiding it. I realized that now it's time for a change. I got a new coach now, learn a new and better way to approach success. Looking back to 97, we've suffered a lot of disappointments over the year. Purdue football, we weren't very good. We had just suffered 12 straight losing seasons. In 1996, we won just 3 out of 11 games. Really hadn't done much better than that over the last decade. And picture it now. Here's our new coach talking about how the past is behind us now. Now he's painting this vivid image of how soon, very soon, working together, we're going to be champions. Now, I imagine a lot of guys were not sure what to think. What he's saying right now does sound incredible. Of course, it's what we all want deep down. Am I right? You can imagine how many were thinking about the mistakes of the past, wondering, how can we overcome that and achieve the success we want so deeply? Because I'm wondering if getting that winning feeling back into our life is even possible. I'm saying to myself, if what he's saying is true now, he's got my full attention. I'm completely focused in and listening very closely as he goes deeper. Because I have to admit, all this talk about a new and better future, I'm definitely feeling eager to see where he's going with all of this. Now, you think that someone who's now coaching these players, you can imagine he would feel the need for coaching with a lot of changes to instill a new kind of discipline. The group was probably thinking, we've had these problems for so long. Feeling the experience he's describing, it's going to be a complicated process, right? This coach's approach was just different. Going back to that time now, I remember the intense feeling in this first meeting with my new coach. When he first spoke to the group, everyone went silent and held their breath. Although he spoke very calmly, his energy just feels very dominant and intense. There's no doubt to anyone in this room right now that this man is in charge here. He's got it figured out. So he addressed the group and said, listen to me very carefully. We are going to be, do, and have that feeling of pride in who we are and what we do. You will hear it. Everyone talking about how you've turned things around and singing your praises. And just wait till you see that crowd. All of your fans rushing onto the field in celebration and the positive impact that this journey we're about to take now will have in our entire lives going forward. See it in your mind now, fellas. You will have the highest level of success in all you choose to do in life. All that and more if you follow the only rule we have on this team, the do right rule. Do what you're supposed to do, the way you're supposed to do it, when it's supposed to be done, and do it that way every time. Guys, believe what I'm saying. If you simply follow these basic instructions I'm giving you right now, I promise you, anything that is important to you that you wish to have in your life now and in the future, it's already yours. Wow, man. He got me hyped now. I'm ready to go. Let's do this. How can I not feel inspired and motivated after hearing something like this? I'm ready to get to work right now. And just as I was completely drawn in by this all of a sudden familiar stranger, he went in a completely different direction and started talking about the Wizard of Oz. Now, everybody's seen the Wizard of Oz, right? Probably haven't thought about that story recently, but thinking back, you realize that it's there deep in your memory. So now Coach is telling us this story. Thinking about it now, it was kind of mind-blowing. I realized I never really thought of it like this before, seeing it all differently now. So Coach is telling us, Dorothy's in a crisis. All of a sudden, everything's in vivid color now. She's surrounded by all these little people, right? Some ugly lady with a bad attitude is yelling about something. She seems to be focused on my shoes. And Dorothy, all she wants in this moment is one thing, to turn this desperate looking situation into what is truly desired deep down. All she wants is to go home. Believing she didn't have what it takes to solve this problem herself, she asked everyone for advice. What do you think I should do? Go see the wizard. Follow the yellow brick road. That's what everybody said. There is somebody else right here. He can save you. He has exactly what you're looking for. If anybody can help you, I promise you, this is the guy you've been looking for. He can help you get exactly what you want. And I imagine now she's probably thinking to herself, I really do want to solve this problem. I'm not sure about this, but the hell with it. This is something I just have to do. So she heads down the yellow brick road. During this journey, we met 3 characters. You remember, right? One doesn't think he's smart enough. One doesn't think he's tough enough or has the heart. And the third one doesn't think he has the courage. So with these 3 thinking that way, they all head down the yellow brick road. Surprising even themselves, they overcame every challenge to finally get to this point now. They made it this far, and now they're meeting the wizard, who's going to save them, make everything better. Now we're in the Emerald City, and what do we learn? There's no wizard. After everything we've been through up till now you finally recognize that there isn't somebody right here who can indeed help you. If you're for real, Dorothy, if you're serious and you deeply want to solve this, It's up to you. You have to take action to save yourself. Just go for what you want. And so you imagine now, she's wondering to herself, why does this have to feel like this? Why does it have to be so hard? Am I trapped in this situation forever? And then coach paused for what felt like an eternity and said, you're in Dorothy's shoes. What are you going to do about it? You know, the title coach gets thrown around a lot. Nowadays, it seems like anyone can call themselves coach, right? So that's a good thing when you think about it. The world needs more coaches, people lifting up other people, making them better. Yeah, everyone should be doing this. Personally, I've always associated the word coach with sports. Obviously, you can relate. For most of my professional life, I'm focusing on being my absolute best in my job, sports. So I can fully appreciate the value that having the right coach can make in anybody's professional success. Now, when I was in the league, I was an offensive lineman. I played center. To give you an idea of how valuable the right coach is to someone in my position, let me give you my perspective as a player down on the line of scrimmage and why having my coach is important to my success. So picture it. We're playing on the road. I'm in Seattle, CenturyLink Field, 68,000 fans screaming for the other team. Remember the feeling, the energy of the fans on third down? It was so loud, it was deafening, right? Looking out at that sea of neon green and blue. Now, I got the play call in the huddle, so I know what to do. We break the huddle, and when I'm down on the line of scrimmage, there's this fire-breathing defensive lineman right in front of me. I can see him because he's right here where I'm focused in front of me. The middle linebacker, he may be slightly to the left or slightly to the right, but he's in the middle, so I can see him because my focus is right here. The safeties think they're disguising something. They're not. I can see them clearly because my focus is right here. Now, there are a lot of things in this moment when I'm down on the field that I can't see. The receiver broke the huddle and went right, so a defender went with him. But I can't see that defender right now because I'm focused. I don't know if the running backs are lined up properly. They're behind me, so I can't see them because my focus is right here. Think about when you played football. How many times have you done your job perfectly, handled your business in the play? What you've done in the past simply not working now. I'm thinking to myself, what the heck happened? I did everything right. Why didn't that work? It's because I don't know what I don't know. When I'm down on the line of scrimmage, there are so many things happening around me that I can't see in this moment, things that play a major factor in my success. I have to focus 100% right now on what I'm doing in this moment, on this play, whatever's in front of me that needs my full attention. So think about this. There's only one place in the whole stadium where you can see everything that's going on every play, and that's in the press box. That's why there's a coach up there. Like when you see the quarterback on the sideline talking on the phone, or he may have a headset on, he's talking to his coach. And coach is giving him perspective as to what he's experiencing down on the line of scrimmage. The coach in the press box is the guy that can see the whole picture of what's happening right now. Coach gives you insight into how you can best deal with the pressure and achieve success in the future. It's easy to see the value that having the right coach in the press box and how it can make all the difference in your success. It's funny how we've come full circle, and all of a sudden you can imagine how somebody who can see the whole picture and point out the blind spots in your life after football could be useful right now. Realize that in life after football now, metaphorically, we are all down on the line of scrimmage of life. I remember thinking, I could really use someone to help me make adjustments and have success going forward and bring that winning feeling back into my life. You know, what's interesting when you think about it is the way to gain control of what's happening in life after football. Our experience in football may actually provide the answer to the challenges we're facing in the present. It feels good to hear from a mental health professional that's been there and done that. Someone who gets it, you feel me? Look at it like this. Human beings, especially men, when you think about it, we naturally define ourselves and tie our personal identity to what we do regularly to bring value to the world, our job. I'm sure you can relate. Notice how this truth holds up. If I fight fires for my job, I'm a firefighter. If I teach people, then I see myself as a teacher. If I perform surgery, I see myself as a surgeon. This is who I am. This is what I do. This is the highest level of value that I share with the world. Now, what about the man who sees himself and lived the experience of being a professional football player? Once this man retires from his chosen profession, there are the unique mental and emotional challenges that he faces, obstacles that the majority of human beings in this world, even if you're a psychiatrist or mental health professional, you simply cannot comprehend or relate to what I'm feeling unless you've played in the NFL. I mean, just picture it. Here's a young man, maybe 27, 28, 29. When he thinks back, all he can remember focusing on, dreaming about when he went to sleep at night, investing all of his time, energy, and emotions into has been playing football as far as his memory goes back. Football being the ultimate team sport, he sacrificed blood, sweat, and tears for the good of the team, developing himself physically and mentally to be as valuable to the other men in that locker room as he possibly can. And well before his 40th birthday, his entire reality shattered in an instant. There's no more locker room. Gets deeper. American football. It's the only sport that when you're done playing, no matter which level you finish at, playing football is an experience you'll never have again. You can never go back. Think about it. Where can you find 22 people to play one full speed down a football? And recognize that other athletes and other sports don't face the same issue. There are countless numbers of soccer leagues and teams in most communities, and we could play a full game of 5-on-5 basketball at Lifetime Fitness or the many parks and gyms we have in America. But when you've played your last American football game, that's it. It's over. And you realize that the majority of NFL players, when they end their careers, they were forced out of the game before they were ready to stop playing. And 99% of the time, it wasn't their choice to leave the NFL. Just imagine a man who's dedicated his heart and soul to the game since he was 6. And now he's 26. And he gets a phone call from his employer one day, and they say to him, "We don't need you anymore. Guess you're not who you thought you were." Click. When a pro football player is let go from the sport, whether due to injury, age, lack of opportunity, realize that it can be as traumatic as any life-altering human experience and can create the same kind of mental and emotional effects as PTSD. With what we've learned over the last 2 decades about the physical toll pro football can have on the human body, especially the brain, think about it like this. Traumatic brain injury, plus the mental shock of identity crisis now that you've lost your job, as well as the emotional heartbreak that losing the only way of life that you've ever known can have on any human being. It's easy to imagine how navigating life after the NFL can be a difficult human experience. In my experience, after playing in the NFL for almost a decade, life felt like an emotional hell on earth. I felt frustrated and angry for what seemed to be 24/7. The majority of the people who I felt loyalty towards during my career, feeling the emotions like everyone's turned their back on you and abandoned you. The guys in the locker room, they seem to just vanish almost instantly as you simply don't hear from them anymore. Financially, it's a challenge to find opportunities in which you can make even a fraction of your football salary. On top of that, your physical body is taking a beating, so you're feeling alone, physically broken, and no longer valued by the world. For me, this led to me being hospitalized for the majority of 2016, eventually released to go home with no diagnosis from doctors as to what was wrong. It makes sense because doctors are usually experts in the physical, but none of those doctors ever played professional football, and the problem was not physical, it was mental and emotional. In 2017, I decided enough is enough. I realized that now I'm no longer valuable to the world as a football player, and I was no longer making money for the NFL. That means that I cannot rely solely on the NFL to take care of me or save me from my predicament. If I was going to have any chance to put my life, my mental health, my emotional well-being, and my self-esteem back into balance, I was going to have to take responsibility for myself and take control and take action. So through education and becoming certified as a mental health and psychology professional, I was able to eliminate 100% of all symptoms of TBI, restore my financial life, release the emotions of the trauma of leaving the NFL, repair old and develop new fulfilling personal and professional relationships. I proved to myself that as an NFL vet, I'm not a victim. I can save myself and I'm still in control of my life. So my life's mission now is to share the strategy by which I regain control of my mind after football. Empower my NFL brothers to do the same for themselves and their families. Today, with my executive coaching company, Basic Instructions Mind Mastery, I now coach NFL alums on how to not only take advantage of the many mental health resources that the NFL and affiliated alumni organizations have for us former players, but also to become empowered by learning and taking actions on our own that can make the difference in living a happy and prosperous life after their playing days, regardless of how tough things seem right now in this moment. There's a lot going on inside our minds that we don't know about. As we go deeper into what I'm sharing today, I imagine that when you're done listening, you'll have a new vision of the possibilities of health, wealth, and happiness in your future. Realize that even if I don't have the game anymore, the inherent tools and power that enabled me to make it to the NFL in the first place, that power is something no one can ever take away. And it's made you special back then. It will always be a part of you in the future. So my hope is that you gain from my story of how I discovered what I call the basic instructions of life after the NFL, the principles by which I was able to find my way back to balance, prosperity, and peace of mind in my life. Just get life pointing in the right direction. Now let's go deeper into those 4 basic instructions of life after the NFL. Now, as an integrative psychology expert, one of the titles that I'm really proud of is I am a master practitioner of NLP. So what is NLP anyway? I imagine you wondering, who's the most famous expert that comes to mind when you think about NLP? Tony Robbins is this guy. He's the biggest name in NLP. So when you think about what exactly it is that I do, just think of what Tony Robbins does. Now, NLP stands for Neuro-Linguistic Programming. On the surface, NLP may appear to be more complex than it actually is. So just allow me to break down what NLP means. Neuro-Linguistic Programming. Neuro refers to your neurology, or the human mind, thinking. Linguistic refers to language or communication, and programming refers to how that neural language functions. In other words, what my psychology expertise is in is how the communication inside our mind works and the effect that language and words have on our mental functions. Let's go deeper into what that means as I illustrate how important the communication inside our mind is and how learning about and applying NLP empowered me to regain control of life. Learning to change what's going on around me by learning to control what's going on within me. You'll be able to easily and naturally envision how I was able to regain control after the NFL. Now let's go deeper. A few things I want to go deeper into before I get into the actual basic instructions. And this reminds me of an experience in the NFL, reminds me of another influential coach I have, my head coach when I was on the Steelers, 2020 Hall of Fame coach, Bill Cowher. And it was something that he said to us as players, and it directly relates to what I want to share with you first. He would say this to us when he felt the vibe of the team was, when we were feeling unsure of ourselves, the energy of fear, self-doubt about this upcoming season. And he would say, guys, you don't know what you don't know. Even though you may not realize it now, it's what you don't know that's actually running the show right now. And think about this. Since you don't know what you don't know, ask yourself, how do I know what I think I do know is right? Don't answer me out loud. Just relax and contemplate this for a moment. You don't know what you don't know. Now, this always captured my attention and made me think even deeper. I remember thinking, you don't know what you don't know. Yeah, I'm following you, coach. I mean, it's like, if I think I know everything, then I can't learn anything, right? I get that, but wait a second. You're saying that what I don't know is what's running the show? If I don't know what it is that's running the show right now, called my life, how do I fix this when I don't know what I don't know? In order for you to fully grasp the simplicity of what I'm saying to you, I want to make sure you're aware of 2 concepts. First, recognize that your entire world is actually inside your mind. A lot of times we think the problem is in our outside world, outside of ourselves, some person or circumstance. Something besides me has to be the problem. That's not possible because our thoughts and emotions are all inside. There's nobody else in my mind except me, am I right? We create our own world inside. Allow me to demonstrate this point. One thing that most people don't realize is that there's only one way for humans to make sense of the world outside of our mind, and that is through the 5 senses. A function of your physical body. It's just the nerves that run throughout our entire body, collect all that sensory data, sights, sounds, feelings, and make sense of that info in our hard drive, the brain. And this is how it works, right? So when you take a look at this diagram here, it looks a little complicated, but it actually simplifies things. Just stay with me as we go deeper. Anything that's happening outside of ourselves that we take in that information, we'll just call them external events. Anything through the 5 senses, external event. I heard something, I saw something. The human mind is so powerful. At any given moment, we are being bombarded by over 2 million bits of sensory data. It's too much to make sense of. I mean, just imagine 10 people in your office all talking to you at once. I can't make sense of this. So what we naturally do is we filter those 2 million bits. I'll go into how we filter that in just a moment. Now, once we've taken in the 2 million, we filter it down. What we're left with is 126 out of 2 million that you're consciously aware of. That's it. And it creates a picture in your mind that we call an internal representation. And so think about that picture in your mind. You're going to have some sort of opinion about it. I like it. I don't like it. I don't know. But it's going to affect your emotional state. Right? And so whenever we feel emotions, we can feel them in our body when we're angry or when we're afraid. You can feel that. So 5 senses, We take in the 2 million bits, filter it down to 126, which then evokes an emotion, and we feel it in our physical body. Ladies and gentlemen, this is how every single human behavior is decided. Case in point, I feel something. I don't know what it is. Once it's filtered down, I realize it's an itch, right? I don't like an itch. It doesn't feel good, and I can feel it on my head. So I choose the behavior of scratching it. This is how every single behavior is decided. From something as small as that to your biggest decisions, this is how we operate as humans. We create our own reality inside. So let's take a sip of water here real quick. The second concept I need you to understand is the way your human mind functions is 2 parts. We'll call them the 2 minds, and allow me to explain how the 2 minds communicate and work together now to create your life experience, your reality. Understand that we all have a conscious mind and your unconscious or subconscious mind. Now, I love to use this picture to illustrate this dynamic between the conscious and your unconscious. See the joy in this little boy's face? I can actually feel how happy he is. He's excited. He has big plans for him and his best friend. He has the leash, so he's in control. This human represents your conscious mind. And this big, beautiful animal, sweet, loving companion, is much bigger and stronger, more powerful than its owner, right? He loves and protects him with all his might. This Great Dane, this represents your unconscious or subconscious mind. To give you an idea of the first mind, your conscious mind, this is what you think and experience consciously, your thoughts that you experience in your normal, everyday waking state. That little voice you hear when you talk to yourself, this is happening in your conscious mind. It's the reasoning, logical, analytical part of who you are, what I call the human mind. We consciously make decisions about our life in that mind. It's where we decide where we want to go in the future, and the dog follows my command. Am I right? At least that's the plan, isn't it? And believe it or not, this is the part of yourself that you call I or me. And you may be surprised to discover this is not the part of the mind that is in charge of your results and success. The exponentially more powerful self or mind is your unconscious, or what we call the animal mind. This is where life takes shape. The unconscious is much more powerful, just like this dog is much more powerful than this human. It has to be, because it has many more important functions than the conscious mind. This is where your natural instincts, automatic bodily functions, a very important part of who you are. Think about it for just a moment. Your unconscious mind has the critical responsibility for running your entire body. Ask yourself right now, what's keeping my heart beating, causing my blood to circulate? Deep breathing as I continue to sleep, eyes blinking, and many other tasks that you never consciously consider. You're not aware that your unconscious mind is doing this now, even though we can all agree that what I'm saying is true. You do these things and you don't even have to even think about it. The unconscious mind does a lot of things for us that we're not consciously aware of. Just realize the conscious mind does all the complex thinking. Your unconscious is where your natural programming or instincts live. Now, your unconscious mind has a lot of jobs that it does for you. I don't have time to get deep into all of these functions in this webinar. It's really funny because I'm a nerd when it comes to psychology. I'm sure you can imagine that I can go deep into this. It's deeper than that, though. I mean, I can go really deep. It's not something I want to get too deep into right now, but without getting too deep into it, the main thing I want you to keep in mind as you listen and think about life after the NFL is that your unconscious mind is where your emotions and memories live, in the part of your mind that we are not consciously aware of its functions. This is what Coach was talking about. You don't know what you don't know. And it's what you don't know that you don't know that's running the show. But now you know. Let me go even deeper and explain. This is how we store emotions and memories in our unconscious. Just imagine that this hallway represents your unconscious mind. Each of these rooms has a label on the door, and the dog keeps it organized. So over here, you have a door that says happy. This one says love, and this one says grateful. All emotions are equal. There's no such thing as bad emotions, only positive and negative, right? It's like this battery, right? There's no bad side to the battery. You have positive and negative. So over here, I got a room that says angry. Next to that, I got a room that says fear. Next to that, I got a room that says guilt. So every single time you felt this emotion your entire life, from the first time somebody took your toy away, anger, to when that jerk cut you off on the highway. What the dog says is, these feel the same. And it takes the anger memories, they go in the anger room. The fear memories go in the fear room. The guilt memories go in the guilt room. Here's the significance of these rooms. Whichever room has the most stuff in your unconscious creates what I call an emotional filter through which you see your world. And so looking through your emotional filter is like looking at our outside world through this window. I can see the blue sky, the white clouds, the green grass, the trunk of the tree. I can see it all clearly, or so I believe. But there's something in this picture that we can all agree is there 100%, but we can't consciously see it. It's the glass. It's clear, so it's almost like it's unconscious. So understand, I believe I'm seeing my world as it is. However, it's only through the filter of my unconscious dominant emotion. And so understand, going back just for a moment, that's how we decide which 126 bits we pick up every day. It's based on what we're feeling at a deeper level. So check this out. A lot of times we think somebody pissed me off. No, you're seeing it that way because you're already pissed off. It's crazy, right? So thinking about that filter, I want my happy room to look like this. It should look like Michael Phelps' trophy room. I should be calling up contractors to bust out the walls because you can't even imagine how much happiness I have coming up in my future. You can't have too much stuff on this side of the hallway. The issue we run into is when you have a fear room or an anger room or a sadness room that looks like this. And it's unconscious. You don't even know this is what's happening. So check this out. A lot of people will say, well, how do I know that there's a filter if it's unconscious, right? How do I know? Well, it's all about what's the story in your head? What's going on internally, the conversation. So think about it like this. At the end of the hallway, there's a jukebox. It only plays vinyl records. It's all old stuff that we got to get rid of. So all I got is vinyl. And so anytime we hear that self-talk that feels negative, it's what I call limiting beliefs greatest hits. And so again, people say, well, if it's unconscious, how do I know it's there? Well, anytime that emotion comes up, that record comes out, boom, it hits the turntable, the needle hits the record, it starts spinning around in your head again and again, obsessing. And then here come the lyrics. And everyone knows the lyrics to limiting beliefs greatest hits. Here come the lyrics, spinning round and round and round, and then the song starts. I can't do it. I'm not good enough. That's limiting beliefs greatest hits. And so think about this. That's a story that you wouldn't consciously choose, now is it? So I just want you to recognize that it's all about how the human mind and the animal mind communicate with each other. Has the human trained the dog effectively? Recognize that if we aren't aligned inside and communicating with your unconscious or the dog effectively, now all of a sudden we're not walking the dog. The dog is walking us. He's in control. You see how the look on this boy's face has changed? You can imagine why controlling your emotions can sometimes feel like this uphill battle. Now, what basic instructions is all about is helping you create mental balance that we desperately need by aligning the head and the heart, synchronizing the mental and emotional faculties, getting the human and the dog on the same page. Learn about how to communicate with yourself effectively so that you can feel inside confident in the fact that you know your faithful companion. Your unconscious mind has been properly trained by you. When your unconscious mind has been properly trained the way you want it to behave, when the dog's been trained, it can be your most valuable and trusted ally as you create the future life you experience. I mean, just imagine that. So what makes sense to improve our life after football by learning methods by which I can keep my emotional rooms clean and prevent negative emotional filters from making me believe I can't and I'm not. The things in those rooms, those limiting belief records spinning obsessively, or what you didn't know, it's what's been running the show called your life since you left the league. Now, you know that emotions are in your unconscious, so it's not always apparent what the dog is trying to tell us. But now you know. That means now you can do something about it. It's time to retrain the dog. Let's go deeper into just how to do that with these 4 basic instructions of life after the NFL. So it is the moment that we've all been waiting for. These are the 4 basic instructions of how to control your mind and your life after life in the NFL. Now, these seem simple, these steps. To retrain the dog effectively, this is the process. These are the four requisites for creating an empowered mindset to maintain your focus and motivation as you create the positive changes within your life after football that you deeply desire in your future. You may be surprised at how basic these instructions are as you look at the slide. And believe it or not, it really is this simple. So let's go deeper into it. We'll touch on all of them, but right now I want to spend a little extra time and focus on the number one requisite to create positive change and high level success. Then you'll see how the other three basic instructions will naturally and easily lead you to your desired life after football. Basic instruction number one, let go of the past. So, basic instruction number one, this is deeper than you might think, right? So, when you think about basic instruction number one, recognize that most people never stop and ask themselves, why can't I let this go? Why do I cling on to pain? There's nothing I could do about the wrongs of yesterday. It's not mine to judge, and my past does not define me. Because your memories are in your unconscious mind, they fall under the category of what we don't know, right? So I'm sure you can relate. Who else can admit to ourselves that we too have been guilty of holding on to grudges, negative emotions, letting them affect how we feel and act in the moment? We all know someone who is right now dwelling on an agent or business partner that you believe wronged you, right? The former spouse that you believe robbed you of your dignity, or the negative circumstances that you could have never foreseen, like being let go before we were ready to stop playing or COVID popping out of nowhere. That anger you feel now, thinking about that past situation, is the very thing that prevents us from being happy in our life in the present. Realize that as long as I'm focused on the past, I'll keep feeling the emotions of the past when my focus should be on my future and about my future. Now, most of us are parents, right? Do you remember when your baby was first learning to walk? Imagine if the 100 times they fell down, they continue to believe that gaining the skills and experience they want deep down. Imagine if they let the previous falls stop them from being who they want to be. Think about it. You've been here before too. You learned to walk, am I right? The basic instructions from back then haven't changed. The first step is you making the decision now. You just have to decide right now that you are indeed ready to let go of anything that's slowing you down, anything that hurts, and move forward. Sounds simple, and it is. Now, I can hear someone in the back right now saying, yeah, but you don't understand how hard it is for me right now. I was in the league for 8 years. Trust me, I get it. Just take a deep breath. And remember, I'm not just a mental health expert, but I'm just like you, an NFL vet who felt lost after the game was taken away. I can tell you for certain that once you know exactly how to release what's slowing you down at the deeper level, it's a lot simpler than you can probably imagine right now. When we connect one-on-one, I'll show you. You're feeling curious. You probably want to know the basic instructions of exactly how to let go of the past. Am I right? Focus and stay with me. I'll go deeper into that in just a moment. But remember, you don't know what you don't know. We consciously create limiting beliefs as a protection mechanism against the feeling that anger, fear, disappointment occurring again in the future. You can relate when people say things like, I can't trust anyone. I just have to do it myself. Or I need to avoid risks. That way I won't suffer any more losses. So you see that we create these limiting beliefs with the intention of keeping us feeling safe and comfortable. And that's a positive intention. Feeling safe is a good thing. Just recognize that holding on to these old limiting beliefs actually can have an adverse effect if we think about what we'd like to improve in the future. I mean, if I believe I can't trust anyone, that leaves me isolated, alone, no support or help when I really need this. Or if I decide that I want to avoid taking risks, you realize that you're also sacrificing the reward of regaining control of your mind and your life. If we don't make the decision right now to try this another way, make the decision now to go for what you desire most. Realize that you've also decided that wealth, health, and happiness are no longer an option for you in the future. And it's because you made this limiting decision. Realize if failure is not an option, neither is success. If failure is not an option, neither is success. If failure is not an option, neither is success. So you think about the changes you'd like to make in life, and you're sure you want to make sure you're not looking down your path through an emotional filter and be free of all limiting beliefs. Just imagine how learning the basic instructions of emotional discipline and getting rid of all negative emotions in your unconscious that are holding you back. Imagine how that would feel. Recognize that any negative feelings are stories I used to tell myself about how I was wronged in my mind. it doesn't matter if it's true or not. Just realize that those stories are simply not useful for me now or in the future. I have to let go of what hurts from the past if I want a chance to be happy and healthy again in the future. I can relate when sometimes people may believe I can't let it go or they're not ready to forgive. Whatever you are so much more than that. I can tell you with 100% certainty that yes, you can let it go. And in my job, I see it every day. Let me explain. So I imagine you're still curious as to how you can get rid of what hurts from the past in your unconscious, recalling what I mentioned a moment ago about exactly how, the method by which we can let go of the past easily and effortlessly. We got to clean out those rooms, the negative emotions, the limiting beliefs in your unconscious, the records. The method that enabled me to let this go quickly and easily is a cutting edge NLP coaching application called Mental and Emotional Release. Now, mental and emotional release enables you to actively clean out the pain from your unconscious. It's been clinically researched and it's proven method that allowed me to regain emotional control over my life. By eliminating old emotions stuck in your unconscious, you empower yourself to move forward into this next chapter of life easily and naturally, cleaning out those closets. Mental and emotional release is the first step, the method by which we apply basic instruction number one. We're starting fresh, without the weight of the past and the emotional filters clouding our perception of where we are in life right now and our belief in our ability to achieve our desired future results. Once you've let it all go, imagine approaching your new future with a profound sense of confidence and clarity. Whatever it is in your mind that's been holding you back, with MER, it is 100% gone. So it's not coming to mind anymore. Imagine how that would feel. Once it's clean, it's time to retrain the dog with the next three basic instructions. And we can't remember everything from the past. We're talking about your unconscious. It remembers everything. We're cleaning out those rooms, the negative emotions, the limiting beliefs you've been holding on to from your entire life. All gone much, much quicker than you can imagine right now. All the pain and limiting beliefs of the past eliminated once and for all. This is what basic instructions is really about, learning mental and emotional discipline. So now you're just like that baby learning to walk again, unfazed by the past attempts, feeling inspired, motivated, determined to take the necessary action to gain the ability and results that you deeply desire to have. It really is that basic. We just didn't know what we didn't know. I'll provide my contact info when we finish today so we can connect one-on-one and go even deeper into it. Next, we got basic instruction number two, deciding your specific desired result. Now you're following basic instruction number one. That means you're feeling good, thinking clearly now, that we've cleaned out all of the negative emotions from your unconscious mind. This is the mental state you want to be in when we apply basic instruction number two, deciding on your specific desired result. Personally, I find basic instruction number two to be kind of fun. I believe the legendary motivational speaker Zig Ziglar is credited with this bit of wisdom. If you don't know where you're going, you probably end up somewhere else. The more specific we are about what outcome we want to experience going forward, this puts us in the best position to experience success. Of course, you guys already know that. Back when we were kids playing football, basic instruction number two is exactly how we got to the NFL in the first place. Now that you're feeling the freedom of basic instruction number one, it's time for us to write the new story of our future. Let's go deeper. Basic instruction number two, what we're talking about is a new strategy for effective goal setting, setting goals in a way that will make it feel easy and natural pursuing and achieving this result. I call it a new way, but I should probably say we need to think back to the old way we used to create scenarios as kids. Imaginative play, when kids use their imaginations and play without structures, rules, also called pretend play, dramatic play, make-believe. This kind of play is an essential part of any childhood. With this open-ended, unstructured play, kids can be anything they want, whether it's a chef, a race car driver, an astronaut, a superhero, a pro athlete. There's no limit to what we can dream up. Now, we all have extensive experience of fantasizing about how we would be in the future. We were all kids at one point, am I right? We built our imagination muscles for years as children. Now it's time to flex that muscle again. When we follow basic instruction number two, we set the goal to achieve our specific desired results in life. We have to go back to that time when we created the life we wanted all the time, playing as kids, imagining exactly what we want things to feel like when we're actually living our desired life, remembering how deeply we loved making up stories, the deeper it goes. Our goals need to be three-dimensional, just like when we were kids. Imagine in vivid detail what things will look like, sound like, and feel like, the positive emotions that come with the experience of actually achieving goals. Remember, like when we got into the league. Being a kid from Pittsburgh, my favorite team growing up, and favorite player was the Steelers and Rod Woodson. And so Rod, I saw myself growing up to be just like him. This poster was the only thing on my wall in high school. Obviously, he's a defensive back. I play offensive line, so I didn't want to play like him. I just wanted to be great like him. By focusing on that vision, that's how I ended up playing at Purdue, just like Rod Woodson, and then being drafted by the Steelers, just like Rod Woodson. If you could see it in your mind, then you can be it in real life. By imagining myself being just like Rod Woodson, seeing it in vivid detail as a teenager, that level of focus on my future led me to following Rod's path to the NFL. You did it before, you can do it again. Getting in touch with that part of you, create it in your mind now, it will truly fulfill you emotionally, just like it did as a kid. You'll notice that feeling of satisfaction is what you want in the future. As you think about it, I'm sure you'd agree, that feeling is more valuable than just dollars and cents. This is the emotional mindset I want to harness on my way towards my future life after football. It's the story I want to be telling myself. Should be my main focus in my mind each and every day I wake up, imagining how great it will be when I finally reach my goal, just like we did in sports as kids. Many of us spend so much time in our minds thinking about those negative memories, the future worst case scenarios, how bad things will be if we continue down the path we've been on. The good news is that we got rid of that old way of thinking with basic instruction number one. So now all we have to do is replace it, retrain the dog with a new positive story that you're creating in your mind right now. You got to see it in your mind first. If you can see it, you can be it. And there's actual science to back the positive effects of basic instruction number two, focusing on your specific desired outcome. Looking at it from a scientific perspective, when you have a clearly defined specific goal or target in mind, it will actually help your reticular activation system, which is the brain's radar, to focus on finding and selecting relevant information along your path that will help you achieve your desired result. You'll all of a sudden become much, much more aware when an opportunity presents itself to you now, seeing ways to move you closer to your goal. Basic instruction number two, imagining your specific desired outcome. It really is that simple. And that takes us to the third basic instruction. Basic instruction number three, taking the necessary actions that will lead to your desired result. So, since we followed the first two basic instructions in order so far, one, we let go of the past. Number two, we have a specific target or desired vivid future outcome in mind. So now it's time to take this image we have in our minds and bring this experience to life. Time to take some action. Put your money where your mind is. Basic instruction number three. I want you to focus as I emphasize we are taking the necessary action. This is key. Because think about it. In the past, many times we felt like we were working our butt off to create success. I mean, we were really trying to improve. We feel like we've tried everything to feel motivated and create the positive changes, to feel inspired again. Yet we've fallen short on that goal again and again. And everything we've done to try to communicate with our spouse has just seemed to fall short. Well, I'm sure you recognize whatever actions I've been taking up until now obviously are not the necessary actions. It's clearly not working. So when creating positive change and moving toward a different, happier, more satisfied life, it will require us to do things differently than we have been. And definitely different than we did things when we were in the NFL. This is a big part of the work we do together through basic instructions coaching. We uncover the ineffective unconscious strategies that were consistently leading to the opposite of my desired result. We have to be free of the past pain in our mind and know exactly what we want in the future in order to determine the necessary steps. That's what we must take to give us the best chance of success. Creating an effective plan of action and executing it will make it so that we aren't wasting energy, spinning our wheels, not knowing where our efforts will lead. Basic instruction number three naturally leads to successful results. And this is deeper than you think. NLP is all about language and how words affect us mentally and emotionally. So recognize that speaking and communicating is an action. With the emotional baggage gone, those rooms cleared, and the goal now in your mind, you become naturally more effective when communicating with others, connecting at an even deeper level when you're listening or using your voice to inspire, motivate, and positively influence others. Basic instruction number three, taking the necessary actions for you. It may simply mean learning better communication skills with others and more importantly with yourself, which is a big part of basic instructions. How to more effectively use the power of your words to create new experience that you deeply desire. Now, Don Harold is a famous cartoonist from the early 20th century, and I think he put it best when he said, unhappiness is not knowing what we want and killing ourselves to get it. We got to make sure we aren't just working and being busy. We got to make sure we are making the right moves. Basic instruction number three, taking the necessary actions. And so that brings us to the last step to create that ideal result you see in your mind. We've let go of the past, we've defined our specific results, and we're ready and willing to take the necessary actions to make this real. All that's left to do is follow basic instruction number 4, focus until. And I imagine you may be wondering, focus to what? Focus until your desired result is your life. Another way to look at basic instruction number 2 is something we are accustomed to through football. That is to make the changes you see in your mind. We got to trust the process. Now, there's a book I highly recommend. It's The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. Now, in this book, he illustrates that the results we attain in our life experience happen 2 ways: gradually, then suddenly. Think about it. That's how we go broke. That's how we become wealthy. That's how we get skinny. Gradually, then suddenly, we get fat or skinny. So now the magnitude or size of your positive shift you want to make really isn't an issue. I mean, we're dreaming big as kids. That's how we got to the NFL in the first place, right? I believe you actually should be as ambitious as possible with what you'd like to accomplish in the future. Dream as big as you possibly can. I mean, that's what we did that got us to the league, isn't it? Just recognize that the size of the goal will determine how long it takes to accomplish, whether it's 10 weeks, 10 months, or 10 years. The question we have to ask ourselves is, can I stick with basic instruction number 4, focus until? Recognizing that it's going to take time to retrain the dog, to get used to taking new actions to create better future results. Doing things differently can feel a little uncomfortable at first because it's new. It's just like working out to get in better physical shape. We have to maintain our focus over the long term. We have to do the uncomfortable repeatedly until it becomes comfortable. Make these new actions unconscious to develop the necessary habits that lead us to success in executing the necessary actions consistently over time. This is where the power of basic instructions truly lies. By taking the necessary actions to reach your goals consistently and persistently over time, they become automatic habits that no longer take conscious effort to execute. Ladies and gentlemen, this is how we reprogram our mind to operate towards success automatically. This is how the kid retrains the dog metaphorically. So when you have the right coach in the press box, this whole process becomes easier. Recognize that when you think about it, if we've been doing things the old way, with that old way of thinking for a very long time since you left the league, if you are indeed ready for a positive change, the good news is that it won't take near as long to establish a new empowered mindset and to live and enjoy the next chapter of your life story, create the exact experience you want. It's the same as it was back when we were playing in high school, in college, in the league. Basic instruction number 4, focus until. That's the key. Trust the process. So it really is that simple. It really is these simple 4 steps. All you got to do is whatever hurts, we got to let that go. Decide exactly what you'd like to experience instead in the future. Doing that so consistently that you become empowered, taking those actions, you become empowered to control your life. And this new empowered feeling is your new normal going forward. So the biggest thing we have to do is stay focused on what we do in life each and every day. Express that focus through our daily actions. The habits we've cultivated through football, that will lead us to the perfect results in the future easily and effortlessly. I'm telling you, it's as good as guaranteed. Gradually then suddenly, if I faithfully adhere to basic instruction number 4, especially focus, focus, focus until. And so, yeah, it's just these 4 steps. Let go of the past, decide where you want to go, take the actions that will get you there, and focus until you are living your desired experience. It's all about thinking for real. How serious am I about making this change? To make the shift towards the life you deeply desire, you got to trust the process. It works. I can tell you from my own personal experience as a coach and as a client. So as I think about what it took to turn my life around after football, it reminds me of probably the most influential father figure coach that I had in all my years playing football. Now, as I've mentioned again and again, the impact that the coaches I've had made on my life, and thinking about how I collected father figures through sports, one of my most valued relationships that I'm truly grateful for my time at Purdue, is the bond I formed with my coach, my offensive line coach, Danny Hope. When I think about the great coaches I had at different levels, I can confidently say that Coach Hope, this guy, is the person who made the biggest impact on my life and future, showing me how to achieve success in life. He was truly a father figure to me. The valuable wisdom I gained from listening to Coach, a feeling of gratitude that I can't even explain. For 4 years, I would go to practice an hour early every day just to see Coach, talk about life. He'd talk about his family. I talk about what's going on in my student athlete life. And one lesson I treasure came from a conversation we had about recruiting. Because when you think about it, that's really all college coaches do is recruit, right? So this is something that came up all the time. And he would tell me, Me as a coach. Just give me the players. Even if they aren't the most talented, I'll find a way to win. But when I think about recruiting, though, there's only two types of people I can recruit. That's it, just these two types. You have mules, and you have thoroughbreds. So Coach was saying, if I'm a mule, I know I can get the job done with the mule. I'll figure it out. But remember, he's a mule. I know as a coach, this is going to have to, I'm going to have to use a stick, pain to motivate him, beat this mule to light a fire under his ass to get him to move. That's a lot more work for me. What I'm looking to coach are thoroughbreds. If you're a thoroughbred, a lot of players think they're thoroughbreds, but ask yourself, am I really? Think about it. If you're a thoroughbred, you've already got the mindset to win. You were born for this, right? If you're a thoroughbred, you're motivated by what you want. You don't need the stick. I don't even need a carrot. I don't need anything. All I got to do is give you the basic instructions. Open the gate and watch him run. Thoroughbred knows what he wants in life, and he's ready to do what it takes to get it. Give me a thoroughbred to coach, and you'll see him do things that you wouldn't believe if you didn't see it yourself. I recall thinking to myself, well, which am I? Am I a mule or a thoroughbred? I imagine that you might be wondering. There is a simple way to tell, actually. Let me go deeper and I'll explain. Recognizing through your life journey in football, you've proven in the past that you are indeed a thoroughbred. You're an NFL alumni. Simply ask yourself this question. When it comes to achieving my goals now, making the positive changes in my life going forward, my mindset, my relationships with myself and with others, when I think about what it's going to take to create that positive change and experience, then when you think about it right now, it gives you those butterflies, that feeling of excitement in your stomach. A life that makes your pulse race, your breath shallow. You hear your heart beating in your ears. See those things now. A life that takes you to levels of satisfaction that feels so right, it almost feels wrong. And if I gave you the basic instructions to create that vision in your mind, and then I just open the gate, would I need the stick to get you to move? Or would just the idea of living your exact life on your terms, how you want it to be? Think about it now. Do you feel motivation and inspiration enough to take the actions to achieve what you deeply desire? Take back control of your mind and your life. What I've learned over the years coaching from the press box is that thoroughbreds aren't born, they're raised. The thing is, when you think back, you've already proven that you're a thoroughbred. Only thoroughbreds make it to the NFL. Guys, you don't want to life. You do want life to feel good again, right? And you're already a thoroughbred. That means you must be here because you're willing to do whatever it takes to make my life better. Am I right? If you're ready to step your game up and take back control of your life, reach out and we'll connect, get deeper into your circumstance and the basic instructions for you to make your desired change. You do realize that each and every one of us living on this planet are the owner of the most powerful supercomputer in all of nature, the human mind. Its capabilities are limitless. And since you own one, that means there's no limit to what you can be, do, or have in life. All you need is the right coach to give you the basic instructions, exactly how to use the tools you were born with to create your desired experience in life after football. And please don't misunderstand what I'm saying here. I'm not saying disregard the other methods of addressing your mental health. Be aware that the NFL, the Alumni Association, NFLPA, Legends community all offer valuable support that could be very beneficial. Don't discount the value of what the NFL does have to offer us. I'm sure you can imagine now how adding a press box coach, following these basic instructions to work towards regaining your life, doing what you can on your own to make the transition into your new life and the road back to feeling fully aligned as a human being, mind, body, and soul, much, much faster if we add in the basic instructions with the NFL's resources that we have available to us. I'm going to leave this up for a moment just so you guys can take a picture in case you need to. And I'm going to take a sip of water. Thanks, guys. You know, it's really interesting how everything Coach promised us in this first meeting was already coming true. I mean, I think back to that first meeting when he first spoke to us. So out of nowhere, Coach Tiller said, "You're in Dorothy's shoes. What are you going to do?" And he just looked at us with this intense gaze. And it felt like he was saying with his eyes, "I'm talking to you." Then he spoke again. He said, "You're in Dorothy's shoes." Now, why were Dorothy's shoes such a big deal? Because she had those shoes with her the entire time down the yellow brick road through all the problems she faced along the way, thinking somebody else had the answer to her problem. Guys, to get to where we want to go, you're facing some obstacles, but you already have the shoes. You've had them in the power they hold this whole time. The power that will give you exactly what it is you want. Remember, it wasn't until somebody gave Dorothy the basic instructions of how to do this. Just click 3 times. Did she finally understand that you are in control and how simple it is to be, do, and have what you most desire? And remember, this was all a dream. Those 3 characters, when you think about it, that's what's going to take us to separate her from the past and become champions. That's just how you feel right now, not believing you are smart enough, tough enough, brave enough. It's all in your head. They are the obstacle you have to overcome. This belief that we've held on to for too long that you're not good enough. We have to let it go. You've proven already that you are more than enough. You already have the power within you to be champions. I'm just giving you the basic instructions, showing you, gentlemen, how simple success is, just like clicking your heels. It's basic and easy. You want to be champions? You already are champions. Follow this simple rule and the world is yours. Do what you're supposed to do, the way you're supposed to do it, when it's supposed to be done, and do it that way every time. So these basic instructions were given to me in our first meeting back in 97. It's really kind of amazing when I think about it now, how quickly his premonition of high-level success came true. After 12 consecutive losing seasons for Purdue, in 1997, Coach Joe Tiller was named the National Coach of the Year in college football for the high-level success he brought to a team nobody believed could win. We finished in second place in the Big Ten that year, ranked number 16. In the 4 years I played for him, his first 4 at Purdue, we never finished lower than second place. And in 2000, we were indeed crowned conference champs, just like Coach said we would be. This scene you're witnessing right now is from November 18th, 2000. This was my 22nd birthday, senior day, and the last game I ever played at Purdue. I mean, just look at the scene, the crowd rushing the field, just like Coach said it would happen. The jubilation, the excitement, the pure satisfaction of this moment for all of our people. This is our reality right now. Since we left the game up until now, we haven't performed up to our potential. We know there's a higher level we can get to, that we have the power to get there. We simply need a new process of how to direct and use our inherent resources. The do right rule is simple. It's all about controlling your actions and using the power that is you to get what you want. It taught us that championship level of success is simple. It's doing what you're supposed to do, when you're supposed to do it, the way it's supposed to be done, and just do it that way every time. Now, I'm sure you'd agree, these are very basic instructions. Now, each of us has a vision for our lives, in our minds and hearts. Basic instructions. This process helped me to make my positive vision a reality now. The basic instructions, how to take control of my life, my results, by controlling my mind and my emotions. So when I think about the things that I most desire, the dreams, the fantasies that seem to be out of reach, thinking about the positive changes you want to make in your life, your mental and emotional health, wondering, how can I possibly accomplish this? Understand that everything you need to make those dreams your reality, you already have it. You already have it inside you. Maybe all you need is the right person in the press box to give you basic instructions. It's simple, just like clicking your heels. Simply let go of the past, create your specific desired outcome, take the actions that'll get you there, and stay focused, trusting the process until your outcome is achieved. Very basic instructions. Now, my point with everything I've covered today is, we've all reached the mountaintop. We've experienced what it's like being king for a day, being an NFL football player, an experience 99% of people will never know about. I'm just like you. I've been through it after the league. I felt so alone, like nobody could relate to my pain. Now with basic instructions, I'm making sure the next generation of men leaving the NFL always know that somebody's right here who's been there, that relates to exactly what you might be going through. Recognize that we've been believing that our talent was physical, not realizing that your talent has always been mental and emotional. Realize that we are the dreamers, the men that can see a vision in our minds, in our imaginations, and make that dream our reality. Like I saw myself being just like Rod Woodson in my mind as a teacher, and then made that real at Purdue and with the Steelers. God made man in his image, not the physical sense, but just like God above, we have the ability to create something in our mind and then bring it into life. Through the filter of our painful emotions, we just lost sight of this. Now you know what in the past you didn't know, that there is a way to get that winning feeling back. And now I imagine I'm not alone here when I think about the valuable wisdom and guidance that I've gained through football from the various coaches that I've had along the way, recognizing that I couldn't have created the success I had without the right coach in the press box, watching my back, pointing out my blind spots so I can make the necessary adjustments and win this game of life. Right now is our opportunity to create our desired success again. Time to dream a new dream. A lot of coaches we've had in our lives have been where we wanted to go, right? It's time to retrain the dog. Let me show you how simple success can be if you know the basic instructions. Just contact info. I'll leave that up for a moment. And I thank you for those that have stuck around to listen to me. And hopefully we can connect. And if there's ever anything you need, you know somebody right here understands. Thanks, guys.